Hey guys, Dark Humility here with yet another Season 10 closed beta mini guide and demo. Today is the build that I want to get to actually on hardcore to finish my last hardcore level 99 class, the Amazon, which will be Lightning Fury. Lightning Fury is one of the strongest dungeon damagers in the game, including tier 3 maps, and of course is incredibly powerful in general. It didn't get any changes in Season 10, but I feel like because I'm going to be playing it, it could definitely be used to highlight its actual full power and potential, and so that people that complain about needing a buff can, quite frankly, shut up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do this. I'm going to show you just how powerful this build can be, no problem. So we're going to go over the stats, the skills, the gear, and then of course, we will show you guys some demos of the abilities. In general, I like max block on this build. I feel like every version of this probably should go max block no matter what. And so you're going to hit 75 block, put enough dex to do that. Going to get enough strength to wear your gear. I think it went a little bit over, but it's okay. And then you put the rest into vitality. You're also going to have enough res to get max res. Now in this case, I can hit max res with Spirit Ward when it procs Lesser Fade. So I'm not too worried about my res despite it being a little trash. Also, you're going to want as much Elemental Pierce as you can. Lots of negative enemy light res. We don't have the most perfect corruptions or gear on this build, so of course you will see that it can indeed be even stronger than what it is advertised as. So it is a very, very powerful build. That's why I even gave it a handicap on my datasheet for the tier list, because technically we weren't even able to test it at its strongest power compared to other builds. Now, FHR is nice, but you're mostly using block. Any max block build, FHR is kind of a side note unless you get hit by big elemental damage. Attack speed is very important for making the DPS strong on a Lightning Fury zone. You're going to want maximum. So on a T-stroke, which is best in slot, you're going to want to hit 89. Of course, projectile pierce, you also need 100% of that. So you can get that from the skill pierce in your skill tree and a combination of a corruption pretty easily. That's how I recommend getting it. You can also use Razor Tail if you're really down bad. But obviously 2 lightning skills off of T-Gods feels pretty good. So it'd be nice to have some pierce like a corruption like right here. You can corrupt towards the end of beta, so we actually do have some corruptions. That's kind of cool. Anyway, we got that. We got Mana Leech. We got MPK and LPK are actually the main forms of sustain, as well as leeches. We don't have a lot of that going on because, once again, we're lacking corruptions. But if we had corruptions, I'd have MPK, I'd have LPK, I'd have Life Leech, Mana Leech, and then it would be a lot easier to sustain. If you see any kind of sustain issues on this build, just note that they can all be solved pretty easily with additional corruptions. Alright, you do want those things though, those are definitely good. And then of course skills, pretty easy. You're going to get Max, Lightning Fury, Lightning Bolt, and Power Strike. Now, something to note is that Lightning Bolt is an insanely strong single target ability. You can actually kill even things with Rathma, like Rathma with it is incredibly strong. However, that being said, most of the time you're just using Lightning Fury. That is something you can use against like map bosses. I like 1 point to Javelin and Spear Mastery because it does help the physical damage of the weapon as it passes through the monsters. The vast majority of your damage is lightning though, so FT strokes, while it is nice in PD2 because they don't break in PD2, they don't have quantity in PD2, it's not required. You can use a non-F1 just fine, and you'll be totally good. The other thing to note is there are no bow skills because it is not a bow zone. Alright, and of course we have as much pierce as you need to get 100% or near 100%. I'd say 90% plus is okay, but you're definitely aiming for 100% if you can get it. So you're going to stack points into pierce. I like having 1 point to penetrate as well. Helps the physical damage and the leech as well, just a tiny bit. And then I just dump the rest into evade for that movement speed. Movement speed is really key on a build that doesn't have a lot of movement options. So Amazon is the class with the least amount of built-in mobility when it comes to the map. So in other words, this is the only thing you basically get. There's no joust like on a paladin, there's no leap on a barb, there's no Dragonflight on an assassin. There's no teleport like on a sorceress. There's no blood warp like on a necro. You get the idea. You don't have any of that, so you really need movement speed to be effective and efficient in a map. Dodge. Put that stuff in there. It's very good. Especially while you're attacking, that makes you tanky. You can go Valkyries, but I like just running and gunning. You could instead like dump a lot into Valkyries. If I was in hardcore, I'd definitely do this and make sure I had like a front line. I wouldn't be as crazy as I'm about to show you when I demo this build on softcore, but it's not needed on softcore. You're pretty tanky as it is. You've got good block rate, you've got good block, you've got good res, especially with those lesser fade if you're using Spirit Ward. Even if you're not, you know, you have Storm Shield, you can put runes in it, you can put attack speed, res jewels in it, you know, there's, instead of lightning facets, you can put you can put you could definitely make it even tankier. This is in the tankiest version. Actually, I don't even think we have any base DR on this build. No, wait, we have 10% from the Mercenary's Defiance Aura. Okay, that's it. But normally you could also use Storm Shield. You could get a lot tankier. So you'll be fine on all the stats. DR is good, but Elemental Pierce and Attack Speed are critical. So are the plus skills for hitting bolts. You'll notice here that if I take off... Oh, wait. Oh, actually. Oh, interesting. Oh, it's because of T-Gods, actually. Okay, I could actually get a bit more damage from LCs if I wanted to. I forgot on the previous version of the build I was using Razor Tail. But anyway, if you lose enough plus skills, you will lose your bolts. So like for instance, if I take this and this off, you'll go down to 17. So bolts are pretty important, plus skills are. However, the flat elemental damage, of course, is also going to be really key on a build that doesn't have high damage to begin with. One thing to note about large charms is on any build that has lower sheet damage, they tend to be more effective. Really high sheet damage builds tend to have GCs more effective. Of course, there's some builds where they're required because it's the only way you can get damage, such on a build that is using auras on equip, or procs, like fissures to procking off of gear, things of that nature. But that's very different. Anyway, let's go over the Mercenary's gear. We went over the skills. Yep, we're good. Mercenary is a pretty basic one. Just going to use Infinity on the Mercenary. I like grouping monsters up, so if you're really rich and can afford it, the Taunt and the Innocence combo is super sick. Blade Shield will proc the Taunt, and the monsters will group up. When they group up, that means Lightning Fury is just going to gun them down. Lightning Fury feeds off of density. So the more density you have in a map, the better.
I'll be your best friend in this
the more density you have in a map, the better. So that means that when you do a map with high density and you group them all up in a very tight spot, Lightning Fury will be just that much more devastating. Lava Gouts, you know, can help me out with a little bit of AR on the physical portion, but once again, you know, you're not doing much physical damage here. And of course, some damage, leech, DR, those things are good on the Merc and will keep them alive for the most part. Taunt does weaken the monster's damage to some extent, so that's always kind of nice. Alright. Defiance, of course, will give you some extra DR. I'm pretty sure this is just best in slot in the late game. Obviously, before you get Infinity, Pus Spitter is a pretty cheap option with lower resist. You can also use an Act 3 Mercenary with Static Field, which also lowers monster lightning resist. I think I'm going to use that strat early game, actually, when I start farming for my gear on hardcore. So I'll use the Act 3 Mercenary, probably farming Arcane Sanctuary. But anyway, that's cheap stuff, expensive stuff. Let's get back to it. You're going to want the FT strokes. Ideally, you want attack speed or lightning pierce corruption. That would be the dream. Plus skill would also be decent, but attack speed and lightning pierce can allow even more damage on the rest of your build or survivability. You have arcanes. Of course, this is a 3 Sokka one, so this one's decked out with lightning facets. You could also use things like Ormus, but honestly, plus skills and life and lightning facets is a solid combo. You don't need FCRs, so no Q-Hagens, but Q-Hagens does give mana per kill, so if for some reason you're sucking at the sustain and just don't have the mana sustain, that's an option. Griffins. Griffins is best in the slot, period. Nothing's going to give you more lightning damage. That being said, you don't need the FCR, so if you want, you can go Kira's. and Kira's can also give you almost as much lightning damage. Kira's can also give you CBF and res, so Kira's is a more defensive option. I'd probably use that on hardcore. High Lords. High Lords is really good too. I've got Pierce, I've got attack speed, and I got a skill. Attack speed and skills is very key. Need attack speed. Pierce getting us to that 100%. Nice stuff. Spirit Ward, best in slot for damage. If you get sockets in it, you get that attack speed up. I got put a bunch of attack speed jewels in there with res, so that's really nice. It has res on it already. Storm Shield is a great option for this build as well. Of course, we also have a 220 gloves. You could have a 320 gloves. You could have a 230 gloves. If you get corruptions on it, you can get pierce on it. Lots of things you can get on the gloves. Skill rings are nice. You can use skill rings, the mana leech, life leech. You're going to up your damage. Stone of Jordan could be good as well. Wisp projector can be good. Lots of options there. T-Gods is best in slot, but if you don't have the pierce, you use Razor Tail. You're going to use Raven Frost for that CBF, at least I am. One facet is more valuable in this build than one skill, so instead of putting a Cham Rune in here, I put that down there, so that's something to note. That is the case oftentimes for elemental builds just in general. Waterwalk's giving us that faster block rate. If you get 32 on an Amazon with Spirit Ward and this, you have very good block frames on an Amazon, and you can run around and not worry about getting block locked too much and just do damage. Of course, you can also get block rate corruptions as well. Down here in the charms, it's a little more complicated than some builds. Depends on how many bolts you are. If you're really close to hitting the next bolt, you can definitely get a couple more skillers. Torch and Annie, obviously best in slot. Res, faster run walk, life, all good stats. Faster MF would be good. Lightning, flat lightning damage, large charms do give you the most bang for your buck for damage on a build that doesn't have high sheet damage. So per bolt, the damage doesn't look impressive, but there's a ton of them. And so, we will do lots of damage with that. You want your movement speed really, really high, so you can see that maxed, I believe, evade. Yeah, evade is definitely giving us that. Running around and killing the monsters and blasting them in the face, very important. Especially if you do the cow level, which we're about to demo now. And hopefully you guys are going to have fun with this demo. This demo is sick. Let's do it. Alright. Let's crush it here. Let's do this demo. Let's do it, man. After this one. Alright, let's do it. By the way, we're going to start doing giveaways after this video. I believe Lucky Luke will be ready to do it then, if you guys listened to that earlier. Anyway. You can see how it's just run and gun, run and gun. If you guys play like an attack damage carry or something, like Dota or League of Legends, this kind of movement is very familiar to you. It's called orb walking. Attack, back, attack, back, attack, back. And if you have the movement speed, just like in one of those multiplayer battle arena games, MOBAs, you will be able to do it very effectively. Notice that blocking there was very fast. The animation was clean. Super solid. It definitely never gets old, indeed. Javazon and cows is as classic as it comes for Diablo 2, and in PD2 it's no different. Whoa. What was that? Lag spike or something? Maybe I desynced them, I don't know. Can you farm torches with this? So what's interesting is Lightning Strike, I believe, is the Charge Strike build. Charge Strike is better at Ubers. So if you want to do Ubers, I actually recommend going Lightning Strike with Charge Strike. That being said, Lightning Bolt can kill Ubers. It's better at like Rathma or like Declone, I would say though. I think this build would do better at like those really tough bosses in the endgame. And obviously there's an unknown boss as well in Season 10, which should be really hype as well, so who knows. I'm going to use Lightning Bolt real quick though against the boss, and then we're going to go demo another map real quick. Looks like a desync, yeah. There you go, Lightning Bolt just doing tons of damage. As you can see, doesn't suffer for single target like some builds, like Dark Pact for instance. Anyone that's ever played a Dark Pact build, Necro knows that it doesn't know how to kill bosses, essentially. So, you don't have to worry about that. Perfectly good build. Not a problem. Can also show it off a bit in Canyon of Secheron, which is another tier 3. Negative block, that might hurt. We'll see what's up. We'll see what's up. This is what this build's made for here, is group mapping, dungeons, and maps like this. Just shredding the density. Does a lot of damage. And of course, always impressive to see all those little ones go down. Of course, we can show it off in a couple more maps as well. That's a really strong tier 3, so that's usually a very difficult map, even for some of the strongest endgame builds. So that's a really good demo of this build's power, I'd say. Definitely something usually you see in group mapping, not solo mapping, and that's because it's just that difficult. Lots of decrep monsters, snakes, just stupid monsters in general. Things that are just not easy to deal with. As you can see, I am struggling with the mana sustain, but I literally have no MPK, so just keep that in mind, or mana leech at all. That's definitely something that can be cleaned up very easily with corruptions. So, you know, criticizing builds based on lack of tankiness or leech or whatever, just keep in mind that those are beta limitations for the most part. It's just really tough to do all the testing that I do and also have like all the optimized sustain. Hopefully you guys understand. I still go over it though. I still talk about it if it's an essential or a good stat. So it's not like I'm just going to leave you out in the cold not understanding how the build works. But yeah, run and gun, this build is nasty. Truly a masterpiece of science. Crazy damage, crazy power. And absolutely bonkers. And of course in tier 1s it can be even more devastating. But you know, I could actually do the other new map with this character. This might be one of my only opportunities to demo it in one of my videos here. Because I think it's lacking lightning immunes. I don't think there's any lightning immunes in here. There's Demon Road. It's a pretty nice linear map, I'd say, for this build. Yeah, I could do this one. It's fine. So it's a new tier 2 along with the other ones we've been demoing. Kind of see how this one works in a tier 2 as well. And of course, without all the crazy gear, tier 1s are a lot easier, so. But you can see how, if it could do this in a tier 3, I mean, in some of the toughest tier 3s even, it can do it anywhere. can do it in those unique maps, it can do it in dungeons, it can do it anywhere. Yeah, sure enough, I don't think there's lightning immunes in here. There's fizz immunes, poison immunes. There's one light immune, but that's because of that's his stat, so that's the elite's stat there. Actually, wait, there are lightning immunes. Oh. Dang, does this map have every type of immune? It might. Okay, I guess there's like a couple of small lightning immunes in here. This map seems to have every immune, but it also doesn't seem to be like super high though. Yeah, I think this map doesn't have magic immunes. I know that. And there's also only a couple of lightning immunes, but as you can see, lightning immunes are typically the easiest ones to break. Just period in Diablo 2. That's just a thing from LOD as well. So it's not really much of an issue to kill everything in the map, and it should be just fine. But anyway, GG guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this demo and a mini guide for the Lightning Fury Amazon. An absolute beast in Season 10. Whoever says this character needs to be buffed doesn't know how to build it. They should watch this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Dark Humility from the Mad Lab. See you guys in the next one. Over and out. GG. Crush it.